Thank you for joining us this morning. Our panel is A Journey in Gaming, presented by the Black in Gaming Foundation, a foundation that is dedicated to elevating the voice and experience for Black folk that are looking to join or expand their careers in the gaming industry, whether it is the indie side or the AAA side. And today we are going to be talking about our experiences in gaming and just kind of giving you some inside information about how we joined, what our roles are, what we would do differently. We were able to do things differently. Just a little bit like a little roundtable chatter, and then answering some questions if you have any, if you're curious. But first, we'll start with introductions. I'll start first, and then y'all can kind of like take it from there. So I'm Aria. I am a community manager, and it kind of dives into a couple of other places. I call myself a jack of all trades. I'm also a project manager, event manager, a resident scree is what I call myself, because I'm constantly screeing all over the place, trying to do a little bit of everything. I love Final Fantasy a ton, and I've been in gaming since 2012. I'm also a community advisor for the Black in Gaming Foundation, and I'm really happy to be here.
What's good, y'all? Ace Patterson, founder and creator of 5 Mics, the hip-hop trading card game. I lost my voice yesterday playing and demoing a whole bunch in the indie game room. We'll be doing more of that later today. But yeah, officially been in the games industry for the last 2.5 years. But of course, been a gamer my whole life, and one thing led to another. An opportunity came up with an idea, thought it was a silly idea, and then I took it seriously, and it became less silly as our community continued to expand, and having players all across the country, even a few internationally, and just continuing to keep the dream alive. So happy to talk about the wild, crazy indie side of the journey in gaming.
What's up, y'all? My name is Gerari. I am a narrative designer, writer, programmer, kind of a fool. I've been in the industry for about 8 years now. I got my master's over at UCF in Orlando, and then I got my start over at Madden, and I've been worked on other titles like Star Wars, Jedi Survivor, Saros, and most recently an unannounced title that I can't talk about because of NDAs. But after leaving that company, I started my own company, so now I run a studio called Coquito Games, and we are working on cool projects, which we'll probably get into later in the talk. So,
hello everyone, good morning. My name is Nigel. I've been working on games for about probably 8 to 10 years now too. I'm a technical game designer. I do technical design, narrative design. I also have a background in programming too. I've worked on games like God of War. I've worked in VR on NASCAR's Wrath. I've also done some theme park stuff as well too, like some early VR mock-ups for Nintendo Land at Universal Studios. And yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm also a big fan of RPGs and fantasy, so I'm even working on my own tabletop RPG game too, called Robot Cowboys.
and if you haven't heard of Lord and Savior Metaphor Refantasio, go play it. That's my favorite game. So we'll mention yours. I didn't mention mine.
I was waiting for when he would sneak that title in there. So I was gonna say, actually, we could talk a little bit about I was like, dang, I should have told everyone to say their favorite game, but we'll get to that because before we start rambling. One thing we should probably say is how did you start? How did you get into the industry? What was your early experiences?
I'll start with that one. So I kind of accidentally built a game once, but in reality, I think I've been doing this a lot longer than I realized. When I was 10, my cousins and I cut out these little Star Wars cereal box characters and made a card game out of it. When I was in college, I designed a LARP. When I was learning to code, I built an app that was effectively Pokemon Go before Pokemon Go was a thing. It wasn't as functional as Pokemon Go ever became, but that was the first time I built a game. And we didn't realize it was a game. We were marketing it as an app because it was a lifestyle thing where you could do quests for other people as a TaskRabbit kind of thing, but framing them as quests. and then you would fight monsters on the map. And so we designed that whole thing, and someone's like, "Oh, you're really good at making games." Like, "Oh, that's a game. I should do that then." And then I ended up going to get a couple of classes online for like Udemy and Udacity and edX, and I was learning all the online stuff, and it was really slow. Is the thing I noticed when you're working a full-time job and also trying to learn on the side and trying to build a portfolio. It takes forever. So I was looking for a way to fast track that, and I watched a video from Extra Credits on like gaming colleges and how to tell a real one from a fake one, like a legit one, and all that. I was like, all right, what I'll see if there's one nearby. It turns out the number one or number two, I don't know, they switch every year. I think it's number one right now. University for game dev in the country was in Orlando, Florida, and I was an hour away from Orlando. So I was like, I'll apply. I got in on a, hey, if you mess up once, you're out kind of vibe, because I had bad grades in undergrad, which is fair. So I was like, all right, we're gonna take this seriously. Graduated, and because of the alumni network that I got from that university, I was able to get my first job at Universal, and then eventually on Madden, and then from there my career took off. And so I always tell people, my formula is kind of hard to replicate because I got very lucky, but that's not true. I put in a lot of work so that when the opportunity arose, I could be lucky, quote unquote.
Okay. So like, I feel like mine is similar to yours, but not quite the same, like in the sense of luck, but like working really hard. So I fell into games too, in the sense that it wasn't really my goal. I actually moved to California for voice acting, but at the time I was doing volunteer work for this company called Area Games, and they did a lot of free-to-play MMOs. So they were like basically taking a lot of South Korean and mostly South Korean and Chinese MMOs, and they were producing them for like the North American audience. And I was a volunteer for a lot of those games. So I was creating training videos and running forum events and doing stuff in game. And so when I moved to California for voice acting, the company that I was volunteering for had told me that I should apply for the game master role because they told me I was doing more work than a lot of their paid employees.
Unsurprised by this entirely.
So I applied and I got it, and like once I got in, I was like, wow, this is kind of like cool. And it was crazy because I never thought about working for games. When I moved out here and I saw like, PlayStation and Google and Sony and Bandai Namco and Capcom and all the, the actual physical buildings of the people who worked at these places, it actually sort of became real that it was an actual job and an actual place I could work. And so I went from Area Games, and then I started working at, I think, Bandai Namco was the next one I was community manager for. And there I started working as, there was a new game at the time called Rise of the Carnets. So I was the community manager for that. So I actually got to work with Harada-san and Michael Murray, and I got to meet Ono-san, and so I was the community manager at the time they announced Tekken 7 at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was on the stage when we did that, and like Evo, and it was just amazing. So, that's when I knew like, oh my God, this is for me. Like this is 100% my thing. I knew games had always been for me. Like I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I love RPGs. I grew up a Tekken girly, but I had never known that could be my space. And so like in the sense that like I fell into it and I got lucky, right? Like I didn't have a degree. I didn't have any sort of like things that you would need now. Like, getting that lucky to just come into the space and kind of, get that chance is not something that would ever exist now. It's way too competitive, but I was doing the work. So it's hard to tell people like, oh yeah, you could just get in that way, but I was doing the work. I was literally doing more work than their paid employees. So that's why my stories always tell people like, don't sleep on volunteer work. Doing the volunteer work is very much so a way to get seen by some of these folk because it shows passion, and passion is something that they can't teach you. It can give you a leg up on top of doing things like doing the degrees.
I love that last point that you just said too of wow. it's 9:45 a.m. so I can't quote it, but it was like passion. Like you can't fake passion. Like that's something that you know, anyone can go to school, anybody can have access to the internet to see a video, but the dedication to go learn something, do something, go above and beyond, whether or not you have a degree for it, whether or not they want you in the room, whether or not, you know, you even have the resources to do it, right? And I feel like that's really where my story comes into play as far as how I got into gaming, because I've always been a creative, thinking, Gerard, of your story of just like creating things. Like I remember teaching myself how to code so I could make games and, you know, cutting out pieces of paper and stuff, but not to be a game creator just because I was always creating something. You know, I'm also a hip hop artist. I've hit the Billboard chart, headline shows, been in commercials and stuff. But I also went to, you know, college for anthropology and then business school and worked at Deloitte and
We have
Meta.
the same degree?
Yeah.
I know we're both anthropologists.
That's crazy. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Man, I just needed to survive and get through college. Like, I was writing papers like hypermasculinity through the lens of Tupac Shakur, Dear Mama. I'm like, that's just like, whatever. I got a straight A. I was just like, yo, I just quote these Tupac bars in front of these people.
There's a YouTube video about that now by FD Signifier.
That's
you
crazy.
basically did the work.
Man, I wrote that in 2008, but I digress. But yeah, just one thing led to another, yo, right? Like I just had this idea of, because I played a whole bunch of trading card games over the years, and you know, all the different things that I was personally passionate about. One day I was just like, oh, what if instead of dragons and magicians, you had rappers with superpowers? And that was the theme of a trading card game. And you know, I just got really obsessed with it, and that led to unpaid hours and, you know, creating things, iterating, finding other people that thought it was cool, playing with them, you know, while working this corporate job at Google and Meta and all these things, you know, being a rapper and trying to figure out like, how is me making this trading card game going to make sense with anything that I'm doing? But, you know, it just naturally, you know, the passion, you know, it just kept coming up and up and up. And, you know, that also led to me watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, reading books on like, you know, play testing, game design, and all those different things. I taught myself C# so, you know, I could build the digital version of the game, like all these different things. And then having a team of people around me that are just, you know, they see my passion, they're equally passionate, yo, let's make this happen. Like, it just started to form, and, you know, I applied to Techstars while I was on paternity leave at Google. Got in, fortunately, and that's how the company started, right? And so it just naturally started happening and going. But yeah, if it wasn't for the passion, I wouldn't be doing this at all, you know? There's so many other things that you can do in this world to make money, right? And so for me, this is so much bigger than money. This is like seeing people have joy over something that you created, and then taking it the next step and giving you ideas on how to make it better. I mean, that's why we make games, I presume. So that's really what it's been for me.
Okay, how am I gonna follow this up as well? As someone who also has a background in programming. So my journey started also when I was like a kid, because like it was back in the day when everyone used to say, you know, if you want to pick a job, do something that you're passionate about. Like, I'm passionate about video games. Let me learn about what it's like to try and make them. And no, at this time, all that I knew that games required was artwork and programming. And luckily enough, my high school, I don't know if they still have it, but they had like an intro to programming course in like Java and Visual Basic. So I took that, and then I started looking into colleges about game development. Sadly for me, I don't know about extra credits back then. This was like 2010 or something. So like the only game school in my area was like another state away in Rochester up in the cold north, if you guys have ever been there. It snows 8 feet, but they had a good games program. I know colleagues that went there. I couldn't afford it, so I ended up going to a HBCU called Howard. And they weren't really like a game school. I still did computer science there, but the gaming professor didn't really do game development, but he had gaming connections. So I was able to sort of work with him to try and like get connected to other game programs, which is where I learned about the Entertainment Technology Center, which is a massive program at Carnegie Mellon. So my first goal was like to try and like network with the lady there. But funny enough, her dad grew up in the same hometown that I grew up in. Like 99% percent chance that would never happen, but through that connection, she remembered me, got into a very hard to get into program. It was like one of like 70 other students and stuff. Also very expensive, but this time I was footing the bill, not the parents. Let's see, oh yeah, even before that, I did an internship at Microsoft and tried getting into Xbox as well too, but they sadly put me in something that doesn't exist anymore. Microsoft, it was Internet Explorer on Windows Phone. But it was still a good experience of getting to like talk to other developers there when I was like on the campus and stuff. So it's just really it's a long journey of like aiming for a goal and trying to pivot every single time. So like I wanted to go to RT, that didn't work. Tried getting to Xbox, that didn't work. So I went to the grad school route to Carnegie Mellon. And that was pretty cool. I got exposed, actually learned about like gaming is more than programming and art. Like even though I took an animation class or two, I didn't know there was production. I didn't know there was sound design. Sometimes I forget there are sounds in games.
They're doing their job.
yeah. And let's see, from there, I was lucky enough to get a internship at Universal Studios Orlando. Funny enough, before Rory was there, because it would have been really funny if they'd met during that time. But it was like 2015, I think, or something, or early on there. But while I was there, I tried getting into a PlayStation event because it's industry only. So I just put that my title was Universal Studios, and I just cut off the intern part.
There we go.
Darn right.
Yeah. And that was my shot. So I talked to a bunch of people at PlayStation at the time, gave out my resume. Funny enough, I gave out my resume to like 5 people that I was going to end up working with. One of them actually put my resume forward, and I still remember her till this day, and I still have connections with her. But like that was my foot in the door to like get into God of War and get an internship contract. We shipped 2018. That's a whole nother story, but it was that was like my big sort of like, okay, I'm cemented in the industry now. And yeah, since then I've been doing like technical game design. I've been doing narrative design because I like making worlds and characters. I have also the RPG sickness. Spent hours on Persona, Final Fantasy, Legend of Dragoon for people who remember that series. Let's see, I've also done like a lot of VR stuff as well too. So if you guys have Oculus, play Asgard's Wrath 2. It's one of the coolest AAA VR games out there and stuff. But right now I'm just kind of freelancing, working on my own tabletop game called Robot Cowboys on Mars. Because I'm like, I want to make a world, but those games require, I know, hundreds of people. Let me make something smaller, something more controlled, like a tabletop game. Yeah.
Well, can we get the salty section of this stuff?
Okay. I was gonna say, so this one. I have another question, but before I can ask it, we need to give a little context. So really quick, let's tell them like your general history of where you've worked. They're going to need that context before I can ask the next question. So for me, it was Area Games, Bandai Namco, Machine Zone, Google, Discord, and I'm currently at TikTok.
I've worked at Universal, EA for Madden, Scopely for Marvel Strike Force, a small studio called Elodie for a few months that is no longer around, then Respawn on Jedi Survivor, Housemarque for Saros, Lunacy for an unannounced title, and now my own studio, Coquito Games.
Success Academy Charter Schools in New York, Deloitte Consulting, Meta, Google, independent artists, and my own studio.
Yeah, as I said, internship at like Microsoft, and then I did Universal Studios, Orlando, Sony Santa Monica for PlayStation. Then it was a Tube and Circus, which is no longer, well, sort of around. It's like a VR barcade, like half of them.
Oh my god.
Oh, they're in Santa Monica, but it's different. I'll tell you later. And then after that, I did freelance on an unannounced thing for Exploding Kittens. And then I went to Senzar Meta for doing VR stuff for Asgard's Wrath. Now I do freelance, but also I teach for a nonprofit called Better Youth. So I teach game design and game development for them.
And then we all volunteer for the Black and Gaming Foundation. Okay, all right, so here, this one's gonna make Rory so happy. What is one thing about the gaming industry that is not talked about enough? We will not start with Rory, because he's gonna have a lot to say. I want to hear from someone else first. Like one thing that like the audience really should know about, but is not talked about enough.
Okay. Quick question before I give my answer. Who in here is game designers? Okay. Or aspiring game designers, if that changes the question. Okay, dope. Everyone else here just loves games? I love it, cool. Well, as someone that also just loves games, I still believe that there's a lot of opportunity for people to just make games without having to have the plug, so to speak. And coming as an independent music artist, right, in the music industry, it always felt like if you didn't know Snoop Dogg, you weren't gonna make it, or if you couldn't get signed to Def Jam, like it's over. But depending on what game you're playing, that will determine how you actually like move and operate, right? And so as somebody that just loves music, loves rhyming, it's like, okay, well, if I'm not trying to play the #1 on the Billboard chart game, it's like, there's a whole other opportunity. There's a whole other way of like, finding your fan base, your player base, whatever the case may be, and just building with them. And so just knowing like what are you chasing, it'll determine how you operate your company, right? How you're developing your game, how you're making your music, whatever the case, like being a creative. And as a person that loves games, and you might not be a game designer, right? It means so much to game designers when you play their games. You don't have to like their games. You can give them like real feedback of like, wow, your game is trash, or like, I mean, being like, hey, I would change this, or this was my like, feeling when I was playing your game, but like, especially when you're an independent game designer, like those individuals that are playing your game, like it matters tremendously, right? And so, and 99.9% of the time it costs nothing to just play someone else's game and just give them feedback. And so I would just encourage those that are not game designers, but you might know a game designer, you might be here and there's like indies or whatever the case, like just if it takes an hour and a half and you only have 20 minutes, don't play their game. But like if you have time to play their game, sit down and play their game and just give them honest feedback, because that helps them do what they need to do in order to bring a real experience to other people. And then of course, if you love their game, then be a part of their community, spread the word, all that stuff matters. That's what I was saying. I feel like we as gamers sometimes like we get stuck up. I only like this, and it's like, but like you might like that if you just give it a chance. So that's
you're saying like don't just go for the top 5 games all the time. Be a little bit more, be willing to explore a little bit more and try out some of those other games.
Yeah.
And give them feedback so that it's not always just supporting the top 5.
Totally, yes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like one of the earliest lessons I learned was like in game development, it's all about iteration. Like you don't need the best ideas from the beginning. You just need to have enough iteration cycles on that to try and improve on it. Iterating on the art, iterating on the audio, the UI. Like get those rough, ugly pieces in just so you can start seeing it from the player, because it can drastically change their experience.
Baldur's Gate is probably a great example of
yeah,
that.
they do so much player feedback. These guys have a lot of nice things to say. I'm about to be a little salty.
Oh, no.
So.
You first, okay.
What is not talked about enough about the gaming industry?
I feel like it's 2 things. One thing, the first thing is that a lot of people don't know is that like, one, just how many different roles are involved. I think we know a little bit more because of the internet, but like also like how much each role is like sort of like treated or valued. Like yes, game design very high, programming high. Like a lot of game studios are very like programming or game design centric. Not as many are as like art and animation. Like doesn't mean they don't have good art, but like those aren't usually driving how they push the game forward and stuff. And it also means things like UI and like sound, and the sound design usually comes in very late in the pipeline. So like if you are making your games, try to get a little bit of each piece in as early as you can, just because like one, you want to make sure that you can implement it, but 2, understand like scope, like how much UI and sound do you actually need. Because when you play a game muted versus sound effects, it can make a big difference. I think the second thing is like, I think more people have an understanding now that like, yeah, games industry, people are crunching and overworked a lot. But I don't think a lot of people talk about better processes for making games. Like a lot of people know like, yes, people need more time, people need to be paid better, but the processes for making games can be better as well too. Because as like an industry, I think we're like good at making games, we're not good at the process at making a game too. So thinking about like, hey, where are we spending a lot of time on? Is this like, is the work that we're putting in this one area, is this benefiting the game? Is there a way we can make this more optimized, have better tools? Or just like, hey, we don't need to make this tool, just buy the tool or something else like that. Because like quick snippet, I won't go into full details because I don't want to be asked about it publicly. But when I was at God of War, great experience, but the tools were terrible. I was like, we were making like a PS4 game using like barely PS2, PS3 technology, and like
wow.
when I went to versus Sanzaru, much better tools. Doing like similar stuff in those two places was like such a difference in like dichotomy, and I was like so appreciative that people value tools and process. Because if you're a smaller team, you need better tools to do the same amount of work.
Okay.
Now can I be salted?
No, my turn. I told you I was saving it for last. There you go. But mine's a little spicy. I was sitting here thinking about how to say it. Okay, if I can give you one thing I feel like isn't talked about enough. So there was an interesting shift, I would say, about how the game industry was being talked about. I want to say around like 2019, 2020. I think it's talked about a lot more glamorously now. I mean, like, yeah, we talk about burnout, we talk about those things, but like, there's one thing that isn't really talked about. Like, when the tools for making games became a lot more accessible, I feel like there's one thing that folks still haven't talked about. Like, the be-all, end-all is this is an industry, right? You are selling a product. So this, at the end of the day, it's a business. So you have to make it's a challenging like industry. So you have to make a competitive product. You have to make a polished product to like make money at the end of the day. So like if you're making a game to not make money and you're making it for the love of the game, for fun, that's totally okay. So that means like at the end of the day, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be polished because you're making it for fun. It's like when you do it for a game jam or when you do it like for your friends. But if you're making it to sell it, that means there has to be a certain level of quality, right? Because you're going up against others who also are meeting a certain level of quality, a certain level of production. And I feel like that's not talked about enough. There's almost like a certain level of like, people think like, oh, I made a game, so it should just make money. I made a game, so like people are just going to buy it. It's like, you know, when we say we want these things in games and we make a game, there almost isn't a discussion around like, well, is your game up to the quality standard? Is your game polished enough? Like, have you done your due diligence to make a game that is kind of worthy of the money that you're talking about wanting to make? And I feel like that's the real discussions we should be having, because just being honest, if you made a game with Unity using base game assets and you're charging $25, we might need to have a discussion, you know what I mean? Like, and I think we don't talk about that enough. So like, those are the things I feel like I've seen the shift. Cause like, you know, is there something interesting happening? And I understand it too, because cost of living has gone up and like games have become a viable way for people to make money. And I get it, right? But I feel like we need to have real discussions around, now that we can all make games and we want to put a price tag to it, it kind of becomes like, should you have put a price tag on that game? Do you with your whole chest feel like that game is worth $25? Or do we really need to like, you know, reevaluate that?
I think as an assignment, that there was a statistic I read online that was like, there were more indie games published in the past 2 years than in like the previous 10 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because there's this discussion in the entertainment industry at large that whatever happens in entertainment, it started in music first. And so if you think about like 10 years, 15 years ago when it was so easy for anybody to go get a microphone or whatever, record music in their bedroom and then just drop music on SoundCloud. It was the same kind of conversation that was happening in the music industry. Like, yo, just because you can, just whoop up some music and drop it up. Like, you're not just gonna blow up. And like, yeah, you hear these one-off stories of like Chance the Rapper or Lil Uzi Vert that like just quote unquote blew up. But like, even then, that's not true. Well, also, it's a lot. In the music industry, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, there's a lot. They had a whole team, but I digress. Like, it's the same, right? And so like, you see the music, you see like the democratization of technology, and therefore anyone can be an artist, and that's why 90% of the musicians on Spotify have less than 1,000 listeners. Like, they don't even listen to their own, like, I've seen artists with like 0 listeners, like, you're not even listening to your own music. Like, this is not worth anything. And so it's like, if you're even trying to play that game, like, how are you playing that game? And it's just so interesting, exactly to your point, that stat of like, yeah, anyone can make a game now. It's like, okay, but just because you can, like...
Right. Like more goes into it. Like, the tools are now accessible, but like, what else are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you willing to continue to grow this effort beyond just, I did the base level effort. I watched some YouTube videos and downloaded the starter asset pack and joined a game jam and made a game in 48 hours and threw $30 on it, put it on Steam and said, hey, play my game and now give me $30. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what else are you willing to do to continue growing this game development process? And like, is your art improving? Are you willing to do more? So it's like, those are the kinds of things like I wish people would talk about more. And like, honestly, being genuine with people too. I feel like sometimes we're not honest, giving honest feedback with our peers. It makes me think of American Idol. I remember like as a kid, like they'd be like, oh yeah, my family says I'm so great, and then they would send them to American Idol to embarrass themselves, and it was like, you should have gave them genuine feedback, you know? Like
genuine feedback.
Genuine feedback.
You should not know.
It's like, let's just be sincere.
Stay home, Jeff. Stay home.
It's a competitive industry, you know. Like, you see these big companies are failing. They don't, like, companies with billions of dollars fail. So it's like, it doesn't mean just because you have the money and the talent doesn't mean that you're gonna succeed all the time. So it's like, even smaller creators need to be mindful about what they're doing. So I just want people to be thoughtful about, like, if you really want to make a game, what kind of effort are you putting into making like a actual product? And that's if you're looking to make money. If you're not, and you're just wanting to make a game for fun, then it doesn't even matter. You can do whatever you want. All right, Gerari, let's do it.
I got 3 things. I'm gonna start with the softball one, right? In my experience, especially in AAA, I've learned a couple valuable lessons. The first one is, it is easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. And by that I mean, if you ask, can we do this feature? They're gonna tell you no. But if you make the feature, and then it's already done, it's a lot harder for them to say no, especially once they get to play it and be like, oh, this is actually quite fun, right? Then it's like, okay, yeah, so, but because of that, you need to have the technical skill set to make the feature on your own. I've seen a lot of young designers with increasingly less technical ability because they want to focus on systems and stuff. And unfortunately, you will always lose the job to the designer who is both a systems designer and a technical designer. Every time, right? Unless you are a stellar level designer or UI designer where like, you're more specialized. If it's a generalist game designer role, you will always lose the job to the more technical person. So I think it's unfortunate that like you have to be more technical now, but it is an increasing demand as this technology becomes more available. The second thing, and this one's a lot harder pill for me to swallow, and I think other people are gonna have to like learn how to swallow this pill, is that no one will give a shit about your game as much as you do. That's just real. Like, I love Ace, but I love my games more than I love his games, right? Like, this is the whole thing. I love his work, but I love my work more, right? And that's just how it is. So like even like close friends, right? Like if you can recruit them around your vision, they're gonna believe in you more than they believe in the product you're making. Right? And so you've got to be able to sell both yourself to your friends and family and the people you want to work with, but you also be able to sell a product, because once you sell a vision to a team, you are now responsible for that team, and which means if they're putting their faith in you, you've got to deliver something to them, usually in the form of a paycheck, but other things, right? And the third one, this is why I get real salty at Sony Santa Monica, actually. So this one is the industry I've learned is really about who you know. If you want to get in the connections, you want to be in the room where it happens, you got to know somebody. And even then, it doesn't always guarantee, because there are some people who are a little more absorbed in their credentials than others. So I have a associate of mine through my alumni network who I was applying for a job at Santa Monica, and he's like, "Oh, have you played God of War 2018?" And I was like, "I am poor. I don't have a PS4." And he's like, "Well, then you're not going to get this role." And I was like, "I played all the other God of War games." Like, "Yeah, but you haven't played 2018, so don't bother applying." Actually told me that. And so, like, a lot of people are going to be like, "You need to know our work." And you can't know everyone's work, because that's not enough money on earth to know everyone's work. So you've got to get really good at learning how to sell your skills and learn other people's work from, like, Let's Plays and online videos, right? Like, where you don't necessarily play their games. Like, if you want to go to Bethesda, you're not going to play every Bethesda game, but you might watch videos on Starfield and Skyrim and Fallout, right? Just to get an idea of the design process and the kind of philosophy they have, and then you're better equipped to do that. And even then, especially in the current market, like, you need a referral to even get looked at this point. So the best advice I can give a lot of young devs is go to events, meet the people who are doing what you want to do, and don't give them your resume. Just become their friend. Then you give them your resume. That's friends first, resume second.
Can I also add to? So I'm not the Swimming Santa Monica creator he's talking about.
No, he's not.
I was a contractor. But like, when I was getting into Swimming Santa Monica, the person who put my resume through, I connected with her because, like, she has the same name as one of my cousins, because, like, she's from the UK, my cousin, we're all from Jamaica. There's a history lesson behind that. You can figure that out later. So that was really funny, like, talking about it, just the weird, like, non-American idiosyncrasies that we both kind of grew up with, so that made her remember me. When I got into Carnegie Mellon, I connected with the recruiter there because, like, her family has that background from the hometown that I also grew up in New Jersey. So, like, that's usually the way and how you go about it. See them as, like, people first, because people like you, they're more likely to hire you. I know plenty of jobs where, like, they hired someone or like when the job or the game was up, and usually you have a bunch of contractors, and either you renew the contractors, make them full-time, or let their contracts end. They kept some people, not always about skill set, but more so about, like, hey, this guy's like my friend, my buddy. We like
working with you.
We like working with them. Yeah.
I got my gig at Lunacy because a year prior, I was attending the Game Awards, and a friend of mine invited me out to dinner with some kind of big name guys, and the CEO of Lunacy, Ferris, was there at that dinner, and we met over dinner and became really good friends. And so when we had that role open and we were interviewing, it had been so long that when the interview happened that I kind of couldn't think. I was like, either I'm about to be racist and say all Arab people look alike, or we definitely met before. And luckily, yeah, it was the same guy. So.
My brain shut down for a second. I literally felt like reboot. I literally reboot for a minute. Oh my gosh.
3 hours
What
of
was
sleep.
my question? Oh, I remember. I wanted to ask y'all. So, like, what's like your highlight? Like the moment that you were just like, yeah, this is it, and I'm just so happy, like where I'm at in my career right now.
Oh, bro, when Jedi Survivorship, I was high on life. You couldn't tell me nothing. Everyone was like streaming it, and people were like, "This is the best Star Wars game ever made." And I was like, "My name's on those credits." Hell yeah!
Hey.
That was highlight of my career.
Love it.
Ace?
Man, yesterday. This morning.
I was hustling.
Yeah, man, there's this kid, calls himself Duck Guy. He's here, he has a duck bucket hat on, and was playing our game, and just gave me a duck. And I was like, why do I have this rubber duck? He was like, because I like your game, so you got a duck. And I was like, and he was like, it's a butterfly duck, because your game is unique and beautiful. And I was like, Duck Guy,
Cry.
Duck Guy. I had him say it again on video so I could show her. I was like, Duck Guy, please, why do I have this duck? Yeah, it was just the highlight. And then he brought, hours later, he brought his mom over. It's his birthday today, so I look forward to going back to the indie room, seeing him. He wants to play with his mom. He wants his mom to get the bundles. I mean, that's what I'm doing it for, And I've had lots of those kind of moments. Last week I was at Gen Con, a very similar situation. A 9-year-old kid came in, already knew the rules, never played the game, but already knew the rules. He was just excited to play, had his mom. Mom never plays these kind of stuff. Teach his mom, teach him. Well, he already knew, so I just give him the cards he's playing. Mom's nice at the game, he's nice at the game. An hour later, he brings his dad. Dad's nice at the game, and then they buy the bundle. And I just give him some decks. I'm like, yo, go play in Chicago with your other 9-year-old friends, you know what I mean? Like,
It's pick it up.
No, it's crazy, yo. Like, it's playing with all kind of people, all kind of walks of life. It don't matter background, nothing. Just it's a fun game, and just realizing like that's what I'm doing it for. Definitely. I went to business school, so gotta be business. So there's a business model, there's this, that, and the third. But like, just the fact that it's at that point where it can be in people's hands in that kind of way and give those kind of experiences, like that's really what I'm doing it for. So yeah, yesterday, I was like, yeah, duck guy, you. That's why I'm at MAGWest, duck guy for you.
Yeah, I think one of the earliest moments, at least one of the most impactful, was definitely at God of War, because I remember watching that trailer before I started my internship, where it's Kratos and his son for the first time, and he stabs the deer, and he almost puts the hand around his shoulder, and then he stops, and I'm like, oh, I felt that, I can see me and my father. But when I went
talk about that in therapy.
Yeah, that's the real. And then working on the game, it's two things. One thing was when the game shipped, my older sister and brother-in-law were having their first child, and the game's a lot about fatherhood. So I gifted my brother-in-law a free copy of the game because he was a big God of War fan previously, and I'm like, I think you'll really enjoy this, for your children going forward. But second thing is, anyone here ever watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged or
Yeah.
4-Star? Okay. So I used to watch them all the time in high school, and while I was working on God of War, I'd have Twitch up and watch them do Let's Plays and stuff all the time. And it was so rewarding that the game released. I watched them play the game that I worked on and then talk about it. I felt so. As Ace said, there's no greater joy than seeing people enjoy your game and hearing them have the fun, the memories. Because I've already put thousands of hours in,
Right.
I don't have that same perspective anymore. But for them, it was so rewarding to see that.
I was trying to think of mine. I had a lot that are associated with Discord. Actually, I think all of my highlights are associated with Discord. It was hands down my favorite job for a multitude of reasons. But technically I think I have two, and I'm gonna name both because they were highlights for a reason. So the first one was at Bandai Namco, and it was when we were at EVO, and we were announcing Tekken 7. Because if you know anything about the FGC, they are hardcore. And when we were announcing Tekken 7, the fanboys were sobbing and just, oh my god, just sweat and spit and just,
All this liquid on their face.
Just losing it. And then they were I was getting hugs and I was giving away these cool Asuka shirts and they were limited edition, and so I was getting swarmed. People were coming over and they're just oh my god, are you the new community manager? And I was like, I am. And they're like, you're so cool. And at the time, the new JoJo fighting game had come out too. And so nobody else on the team knew JoJo. I knew JoJo. So I was doing, I wasn't the community manager for JoJo, but they didn't have anyone else who knew JoJo, so I did. So I was doing JoJo poses with people, and I distinctly remember that, and they were telling me how cool it was, and I was just like, that's so cool. And it was that was a highlight for me, being at EVO and just doing the poses and doing pictures of people, and I was like, that's just oh, I'm so happy. And then with Discord, it was, again, going to EVO. And Discord actually didn't have an official booth. Discord wasn't even at EVO. I was at EVO. But I had all my Discord gear on. I had my One Piece ears and my Discord shirt and my pins I was giving away. And so I was getting swarmed with pins. And at the time, I was sweaty gaming at the 2XKO booth. And someone was like, oh my god, you work at Discord? And I was like, yeah, I do, hold on. And then, but they waited because they knew I had the pens. And when I turned around, it was like it had gone from one person to like 30 people waiting for these pens. And I just had a moment of being like, wow, I'm so cool. I worked at Discord, this is so cool. And I gave away the pens, and then I actually gave pens to like the Riot folks, because I have a lot of, I'm probably, like, I'm gonna take the card here. I feel like out of the whole group, I'm like the networking girly. I feel like I know so many people, because I don't.
I might give you a run for the money on that.
I might give you a run for the money. I don't shut up. I love people, I love talking. And so like I have so many different connections at all the different companies. I love bringing people together. So like I just love those moments where you see everybody together and they're all having fun. And those are the times, because usually I'm the one who put the thing together. And if you have that friend, or you are that friend who puts the thing together, you normally aren't the one who gets to have fun, because you're watching everyone else have the fun. But that's the moment that you just kind of go, ah. And so like those are usually my moments of like, yay, I'm happy for everyone else. Now I'm gonna go sleep. So yeah, those are my moments. But
I've got one other kind of smaller moment that I wanted to talk about. And it's more of a hopeful moment than like a highlight. But in 2022, I got to go to the Game Awards, and it's when we announced Jedi Survivor and the release date to the world. And I remember seeing that audience going, the next time I come to this conference or to this event, I will be as a nominee. That was my goal. And so that's what I've been working towards ever since. But like that moment of just sitting in the audience and being in awe of like all the games and all the people and all the names and all that, and being like, yeah, I'm gonna be up there next time. So that was kind of cool. And also an accolade I kind of forget that I have. I got nominated to the board of directors for Global Game Jam, which is the biggest game jam in the world. And now I sit as the board president. And I kind of forget I have that title. Until it's relevant.
How do you forget that? I'm just curious. That's that slip your mind.
Because like I'm doing so much. But like it was relevant to me about a week ago. The executive director came to me with a problem, and I was like, oh, she came to me because this is kind of my duty actually. Like I'm responsible for this team and this board and everything. And in that realization, in that moment, it was like, oh wow, I've actually come from building games with little cards to now helping run and manage one of the biggest organizations in the world for games, and where a lot of people get their start. And that moment last week when I had that was a highlight of my career as well. I was like, wow, I've come so far, and that's pretty cool.
all right, so I just checked the time. We've got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to give y'all a chance to ask any questions if you have any. If not, we're just gonna keep yapping.
Question, right?
Yeah, go ahead. If you wanna, I think this one's on if you wanna ask it.
Yeah.
Turn around so
We'll just turn it around.
Nigel's got it.
Thanks, Nigel.
Feel free to come up. The mic won't bite. It's definitely not a mimic.
Wait, what's the music from that old game show?
Down, wait.
No, was it do-do-do?
Price is Right? She's literally waiting for you to stop with the music. Is it my turn
Go
yet?
ahead.
The fight switch.
The irony.
The irony.
There we go.
Perfect.
I was wondering if you had any like advice that you hadn't mentioned in the panel already for aspiring game designers.
Yeah.
What's your specialty?
Narrative.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, for narrative, I always tell narrative designers you have two ways you can go. You become a writer, or you can become a narrative designer. And you should decide which of those two you want to be, because they are very different jobs. A writer is gonna write and tell the story. A narrative designer is more concerned with how the story is being told and how the player's interfacing with the story than what story is actually being told. And so the best piece of advice I can do is figure out which of those two things you want to be first. And then depending on that, the answer changes, right? If you want to be a writer, work on your bark sheets. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a spreadsheet of one-liners that the enemies might bark out or shout out during combat or while you're exploring. Things that you hear, in open world games. Work on a bark sheet. work on your scripts so that people can see you can write dialogue, and then work on your databank entries. So like things like the journals in Skyrim or the databanks in Mass Effect, right? Those are the 3 things you want to work on as a writer. You want to be a narrative designer, work on your implementation skills. So you should know either C# in Unity or blueprints in Unreal Engine, or both preferably. You should be able to explain to me how you connect gameplay with narrative and what systems you were able to create that marry those 2 things. And those are the big ones for narrative designers.
Yeah. At least for like narrative design, like as Jory said, it's all about learning like storytelling, not necessarily like making the story itself. So like learning like when to use a dialogue system versus like an interactive cutscene, how to do a walk and talk, learn like what vignettes are typically in games. Just understanding like what are the typical techniques that people use and why they use them and when to use them. Yeah.
Are you a independent designer, or are you working on a big company, or?
I'm currently in college.
I like
for
that.
design.
Dope. Do you know which path you want to go on?
Not really. I also do coding.
Good.
I was gonna say like, do it all. Because especially if you're in college, like you don't really know. You know what I mean? Like do it all. Like something you mentioned something earlier, right? Like being technical is really what's going to set you apart. And so if you can technically do everything, I mean, you're just opening up the opportunity to get placed in any position, you know what I mean? And you can extend from there. So, you know, whether it's doing game jams as well, creating your own demos and prototypes and stuff like that, but being able to flex those skills and showcase all those different things. Yeah, I can build a story, and I can write the story as well, and I can code the story as well, like all those different things. You'll probably figure out like, okay, which one I actually want to do, you know what I mean, moving forward. But if you can at least do as many as you can, I mean, you'll definitely make yourself more attractive to whatever company, or if you become the CEO of your own company, then hey, at least you know who to hire to do the stuff that you don't want to do, but you know how to do it.
And also, make sure you connect with us, especially, like, I think everyone up here, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure I can at this point. We'd be happy to help guide you as you're, you know, getting prepared for graduation and looking into work and stuff.
Yeah.
Please pay no attention to the lack of titles that say title.
Oh, I knew you were going to notice.
I was finishing these at 2 o'clock in the morning. I had finals.
Title here is literally my title.
That's my job title. That's
My favorite is how mine is finished. But everyone,
Aria wanted to be
Just the most self-serving. Not joking.
the worst part is how I knew both their titles. It was just aces I didn't know. But, like,
The irony.
but I like Ace so much I didn't want to just leave his title here, so I made it fair.
Just make it fair, yeah. Y'all don't got no title with me.
Does that answer your question, though?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay.
you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Feel free to just approach the mic if you have a question.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Totally open forum.
Oh.
Yep. And again, this is my blue sky, right? Or is it my LinkedIn?
No, they're all good linked.
Okay, yeah, you are more than welcome to connect with me here. Any of you in the room, just message me so I know where like you connected with me on, because I do get a lot of like spammy AI bot sellers. So I've become a lot more cautious with who I accept. So just let me know you saw my panel here, and then I'll accept you. Yeah.
Definitely tell us who you are before you send that accept me thing.
Those are the perfect people to just reply without accepting and pitch your thing.
Yeah. Oh, and like, if you let us, or I can't speak for everyone else, but if you let me know like what you're interested in, I'm happy to also direct you to like foundations, organizations, or Discord groups that would be able to give you the resources that you're looking for as well.
Did someone sort of raise their hand back? Someone else have a question?
Yeah.
Hey.
Come on down.
Hey.
Don't.
The microphone's for the video, because I'm sure we can hear you.
I'm old, so it takes me longer to come on down.
You're good.
I was just wondering, I'm trying to be a creative writer, and if you have any word, the biggest struggle for me is fighting what I call an intentional discouragement. Like those who I share what I've written to, their immediate response will be like, oh, you should see this movie. It's just like what you're writing, or you should play this game. It's just like what you're writing. And I know the intention isn't discouragement, but when I hear that, it kind of makes me feel like, oh great, I'm doing something that's already been done, or everybody thinks I'm just going to copy something. So it's like, I guess discouragement in general, or unintentional discouragement. Have you ever had to face that, and how do you fight it?
I'm gonna answer this one first really quick, because that's me. That's literally why I don't share. So I'm working on a visual novel, and this is literally why I do not actively share my progress, because it completely shuts me down. It's really rough, because then I feel the same thing, like, okay, well, if it's already been done, then, like, I don't even want to shut down. It's just that my brain goes, well, if it's been done, then I'm just not gonna do it then, because I don't wanna hear that. And I know that they're doing it as a form of encouragement on their end. They're trying to say, oh, that's awesome. Like, it's their way of like connecting with me, but they don't know that it makes me feel like I'm just duplicating something. I'm doing something that's already been done when I'm sitting here thinking that it's the most creative thing on the planet. What I would say is that you have to strike a balance of how much you share, and then for you, it's determining. Sometimes what I realize helps me is I don't share until I've gotten to the point that I'm so in love with this idea that it can't be taken from me, right? Like, I usually get to the point where like I've done so much work that there's no way I'm gonna stop doing it, like no matter what they say. So usually it's like I'm at the point of I've already put like 30% of the work in. So even if I receive that discouraging feedback, it's like, no way I'm stopping, like I've done too much work. I don't know what that limit would be for you. You would have to determine what that is. And maybe it's that you don't share all of it. Maybe you share pieces of it. Maybe you share just a little bit of information. It all could also just be communication. Sometimes I've just straight up told my friends that it discourages me, and they've apologized and shifted. It could also be finding the friends that don't communicate with you that way. It's like a couple of varying things that have helped me personally. You'll have to kind of, like, unfortunately, it's like there's not like really a solve for it, because it's more of a thing on your personal end. Like for me, I think it's just, I want to make something wholly unique that feels mine, because my art is very personal to me. And so to hear that it's not personal because there's something that's similar to something else, it makes it not feel like mine anymore. I think that's what disrupts it for me. But yeah, I think that just kind of determining what point it is that, even if they said that to you, it wouldn't affect you anymore, that would help you a little bit.
I'm gonna contradict you a little bit here, actually. Just a bit.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what helped me. I
I
don't
know.
think there's actually something that we can tell someone else will fully work for them.
Well,
Yeah.
the one thing that helped me was learning that there is nothing new under the sun. No matter what you do, you are doing, there's gonna be like someone else's
Oh, that
work.
too, yeah.
And once you kind of get over that hump,
That's right.
you can look at the work of arts that are derivative and are beautiful in their own right. For example, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 does nothing new at all. Every one of its mechanics, every one of its beats has been done before, but it does it so well that I think it's going to be Game of the Year. Horizon Zero Dawn, same thing. There's nothing new about that game. It's a post-apocalyptic romp in an open world adventure, right? All that's already been done, but it does it so well that it doesn't matter. And I think once you realize that, it becomes very easy to be like, oh, it's like that, cool. What did they do well? Why did they do it well? What can I do differently? And that's like looking at that feedback as an opportunity to examine the work of literature or media that they're giving you, and take from that what you can. It becomes a point for improvement for you.
Yeah, no, just to jump on all of, sorry, I missed that to really,
No, you're good.
but I also agree, you know, Solomon's saying there's nothing new under the sun, taking that to heart, right? Like as artists, like we're just remixing things that came before us, right? We all have our inspirations, we all have our preferences, we all have our genres that we like, right? But I would use that knowledge to not be afraid to explore things that are in similar paths, right? In similar genres. The more informed you are of what came before you, right, can also help determine like, okay, I want to take this approach or I'm going to root in on this approach, or things like that. It also becomes, when you have your marketing hat on, right, it becomes a form of being able to connect with people that are into those things, right? So, it's like, with my game, right, Five Mics, the hip-hop trading card game, sometimes I'm like, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! But with rappers instead of dragons. Sometimes I say Pokemon, sometimes I say it's like One Piece, or but it's because I know how those games play that I'm able to say, here's the elements of my game that are similar to those kind of games, but here's the things that make you unique. And so having that background, right, can help you to connect with people that might be into the space, right? Because you're not going to please everybody, so just let that go, right? You do have a target audience. If the target audience likes those kind of things, right? Like we like Marvel, or we like Fantastic Four, so we're going to like the Hulk, or we're going to like X-Men, or whatever the case may be. So understand your audience, lean into that, have the vocabulary. But then lastly, like, I love what you just said. They might do it, I'm gonna do it better, or I'm gonna do it different, or I'm gonna hone in, I'm gonna lean in. Like, I've heard so many other people say on my journey here, like, I think I heard somebody say that they want to make a hip-hop trading card game too, That's cool, people have ideas, but who's doing the work? So like, there might be, statistically speaking, someone out there that has a hip-hop trading card game, but people know mine, and they're gonna keep knowing mine, right? Like, just, if there is, make yours better, make yours more known, make yours more prevalent, make yours be the thing where, y'all gotta go check out this thing, right? Let you be that one, right? So don't be afraid to lean in on the fact that, yeah, there are things out there, but you as yourself, you're unique, and whatever you bring to the table, it just becomes further inspiration for the person that's coming after you.
For those who come out like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you for your question.
Thank you for your question.
I appreciate the responses.
Yeah.
See, I do like that y'all answered it that way, but I like that. That was a good holistic answer. Huh.
Do I have time to like say one more thing? It'll be like a minute.
I'm proud of us.
We are literally 3 years over.
I know we're over. I'm just really happy because it was like, I gave the emotional one that was like, I totally get that from a feels. You were like, I get that from an artistic one. He was like that. Screw that!
Feelings aren't business.
I like that. That was good. And Nigel was just over here snaps.
Yeah.
Emotions are real, emotions are valid. Stick to the business,
I like that. But yeah, we do need to head out though. But like, thank y'all so much. We hope you enjoyed the panel. I'll remember to get the QR codes. And we have another panel later tonight at 4:30. That one's going to be how to make a game, and we will have a giveaway. I've got some Chocobo plushies to give away, so definitely come and see us again.
In panel 1.
Huh?
That means panels room 1, right?
Panels room 1. Come see us.
I gotta say hello.